I'm Tambria Peeples, and today I'm sitting with author and educator Legina Saxby Crawford. So glad that we can sit down and have a conversation today, a girlfriend conversation, because we're actually friends, girlfriends. So we can have a conversation about this new project, this book that you've written. But first, I just want you to share, Gina, and I call her Gina. Just give us just give us some info on, you're coming up. Where did it all begin? The life of Legina Saxby Crawford.
It all started November 15th. I won't give a year, but November 15th, I was born in Savannah, Georgia, and my family and I, because of my father's ministry assignment, moved to Atlanta.
Your father was an AME pastor.
AME pastor, so he was pastoring a church in Homerville, Georgia, and he was reassigned to Atlanta, Georgia, St. Peter AME Church, and we've been here since I was 5 years old, so we've been here now for 41 years. So it has been a journey. We met since, that's how we met.
Yeah.
We met at church.
I was 4.
Yeah, and I was 5. So we met at church. So you just really don't know God's plan for your life. So here we are, 41 years later, still sitting here, and now still talking about what God is doing in our lives.
Yeah. Never thought we would have written a book
Never
at
thought.
5.
Never thought.
Never thought.
So, never thought.
Never thought.
I always wanted to be a teacher. So my mind was only focused on teaching. So didn't realize that I could teach in different ways. So here we have it.
Yeah, it's another way for you to, just share your knowledge and your passion and your ministry. Now, how did this book come about? What made you decide to write Face Value?
Well, growing up, I have always been kind of a shy person. So writing became a passion of mine. And it wasn't to write to share with other people, but it was more so to journal for myself and to talk about things that I necessarily wouldn't say out loud. And the older I got, the more life experiences, it was almost to the point where it's like God was saying to me, somebody else needs to hear what you have to say. And instead of me speaking it all the time, it was like, well, God, I don't always do that whole public thing in front of people.
Right.
But it was a way of saying you still have a story to tell. And for those people who may not attend a church or who may not talk to anybody else, they may read a story and realize that life can be better than what it is. Or they may relate to something that I've said, which may be a turning point in their life. So Face Value came about where being in ministry, being a female, you have a lot of female pastors and people in ministry who still have everyday to-day life to deal with. And sometimes when people see us or see them, it's almost as if, they don't have any problems or they don't go through anything. Even just pastoring, period, and ministers, period. A lot of times they look at the pulpit as being this rock star person where when you leave, everything is just hunky-dory in your life. So Face Value kind of gives you a peek inside of the life of a female pastor, about her passion. She's struggling with her passion and with her call, and still has to live a life of marriage, and still has to be in front of people and do what God has called her to do. So it's an internal struggle.
Okay. And so tell me about the journey to publishing this book, because I know this has been something on your heart for years.
Yes.
And it's taken, even after the book was written, it still took a while for you to publish it. So, so what was the journey, and what were the obstacles? What were the reasons that you might feel, or other folks in your life are telling you, what's going on, why it takes so long, so what was it that?
It's interesting because a lot of people, when they see a published book, they just think, it just kind of happened overnight. And I was telling people this book was over 3 years in the making. So it was to the point where I would write a bit, and not necessarily even for it to be published. It was just the ideas just kept flowing, and I kept writing. And then my mom is the one who pushed me. We would go to the bookstore, and she would threaten to swipe everybody's books off the shelf because your book is supposed to be on the shelf. And I didn't think anything of it. Other people, my pastor, my god brother Jeffrey Tosin would be like, you're supposed to be writing, you're supposed to be doing this so other people can see it. And for me, it was like, no, y'all just saying that because you like me. Y'all just saying that and because you're trying to get me to do something. But then, sitting and being inspired by God to say, no, they're right. That's why they're pushing you. So it was 3 years in the making, just sitting, just writing. And even after finishing it, letting some close family members read it, including yourself.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like okay, I'm going to just step out there and say, here guys, here it is. And the feedback was the push.
Right.
The feedback was the push. It was like, why is this not published? So in my mind, I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
So that was the catalyst for me to say, hey, it's time. And even more so after the birth of my son. Not wanting him to fall back into that shyness or the fact of, well, no, I just think about it. I don't think I can really do it. So I did it for him. I did it for, my family, for my mom, for my husband. They poured so much into me. My friends, my pastor poured so much into me. And, it's just the whole fact of, because it's being poured into me, I don't have a right to keep it inside. It is upon me to share it with other people. Because when God lays something on your heart or gives something to you, it's not for you to keep, it's for you to be a blessing to other people. So the journey was difficult on my end, personally. It was where I had to really push myself to finish it. I had to push myself to say, hey, now you have to actually have somebody to publish this. So even in terms of putting it out there, getting started, even receiving information from the publisher and saying, okay, here's your timeline. I procrastinated on a couple of things, all because a lot of times I didn't think I could do it. It was almost as if, well, yeah, God, I wrote it, but you mean you actually want people to read it? So that was my thought. And, when my husband was that push of, have you done this? Have you done that? And I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. So the more I got into it, the more it became real. Right. And, again, thanking God for my friends and family who were just like, okay, who stayed on top of me, like, look, you've got to get this done. Right. It's and just even listening to confirmation from different sermons and different conversations to say, hey, there's something that God is asking you to do. You have not done it yet. So it's kind of like why are you telling everybody my business, God? Okay. Right. Well, okay, I surrender. I'll do it. So when it actually came, I actually got the proof. That was a moment of, I was speechless. I was like, wow. And I told my husband, I was like, my name is out there. And then I looked on the back and I was like, wait a minute, my picture's out there. So it even helped me to launch L.S.C. Ministries, Legina Saxby Crawford Ministries. So all happening in the same week. The book release, the ministry launch. So, even having the book, it was, now you have to have a place to house it. So it was like a spark that just kind of set off fireworks of, many things to come. So I'm grateful. It's just still not yet real.
Right.
I'm sitting here looking at my name. It's like, I'm looking at that's how you spell it. Yeah, that's my name. That is my name. That is me. So, again, it was not done out of arrogance. It was not done to even boast of, look what I did. It is really to say, look what God has done through me. And, if I can do it, it's like encouraging so many other people. It may not be a book. It may be going back to school. Right. It may be, starting a business. Whatever the case is, you can do it.
Yeah. Well, success and accomplishments that's not about arrogance. Yeah. That's just about fulfilling what's inside of you. Because if you let that hold you back and say, well, I don't want folks to think this about me or think that I think I'm that, then that's conflicting within yourself, because now you're trying to, appease other people, but then you're neglecting yourself, your dreams and passions and goals, and so you have to go for it. And this is an example of going for it, because so many of us are shy, and and don't want to speak out and don't want to be that that person in the spotlight. We'll help you behind the scenes all day. We'll help to make you great, but then we have some great qualities as well. And so I think Face Value is more than just you know, your first published
Right.
novel. It's so much more. It's a testament to, you know, your journey, your coming out, your realizing, you know, how great you really are, and that other people need to see that, because it's not about them saying, oh wow, she's great. It's, oh wow, look what she did, I can do it too.
Yeah.
You know, so just so proud of you for, you know, getting to this point. But I want to also touch on just maybe you know, a part of the book, because it's not all, you know, church singing hymns, peaches and cream.
It's not.
It's some drama, some real
it
drama
is.
up in this thing. So what? So let's see. What I'm trying to think. What's the part we want to talk about? What's my favorite part? You know, the cliffhanger at the end, which I won't reveal that,
Right.
but that's what really, you know, kind of got me. But just the fact that it shows a pastor going through normal stuff like any other woman.
Yes.
She's married,
Yes.
trying to, you know, have that life,
Yes.
you know, with her husband, and they're not connecting all the time, you know. And whereas you would think, oh, a pastor, well, she would just go and pray and they would work
just
on
lay
it.
hands on him and he'll
Just
be
like,
all right.
yeah, they gonna work this
It
thing
does not
out,
work
and
that
that it don't always work that way,
Yeah.
and we understand that because it happens in someone's life who's not a pastor. You just can't lay hands on something, and you know, like, you gotta work at it. You gotta, you know, and but see, the thing about it is that the person in your book, she was working at it, but she was working at something else.
Right,
what she
right,
that
right.
she wasn't supposed to be working at, you know. And I just want you to send out a disclaimer that this is not your life.
It's yes. You know, it's like, ooh, girl, you know that's all right. So, you know, some people be looking at my husband and like, like, really, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. It's like, let me listen to that. Let me watch her watch him. Yeah.
Right,
no,
right,
that's them.
right.
That's
Yeah,
them.
that's them.
So, but
Did you sound like you were
yeah.
talking to Sister Sonia?
Yeah, that's her. That sounds like something she would say.
Right.
So it is, you know, it's not your, you know, it's not your full of hymns and full of just scriptures and that kind of thing. It's about real life.
It's about real life.
You know, but it is Christian based. But Christians go through things just like everybody else, you know.
Especially the pastor.
Yeah. So, you know, you have to deal with not just your life, but you're trying to, you know, help shepherd the lives of other people. And sometimes you don't have time to deal with your own stuff because you're so concerned with everybody else's. It's not that you don't love other people, but sometimes things in your house can go neglected, and it's not fair.
Right.
So yes, there's a part that's very interesting.
Parts
That's
parts.
very interesting. Like the end is a real
So
real
we know
cliffhanger.
that we're gonna have a part 2, just because the
Yes.
ending, there has to be a part 2.
There will be a part 2.
And also you're working on, we're still, you know, planning it, but you're working on doing something visual.
Yes.
It could be a movie, could be a series,
Yes.
but something to accompany the novel. So we'll be looking forward to
And
that.
interesting, look, I'm a visual learner.
Mhm.
So if I hear it, I'll kind of soak it in. But if I see it,
Mhm.
so that, you know, that too is important for me.
Right.
Just for this, even seeing it in my mind,
Mhm.
and putting it down on paper, is just exciting to be able to anticipate seeing it come to
Right.
life. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm grateful. I'm truly grateful. I'm excited.
And so you're also, and I did mention earlier, you're an educator and an author, but also you're executive pastor
Yes.
at Strong Tower
Christian Life
Ministries. And so that's why I said they're gonna be looking at you like,
Yeah.
so I wanted to kind of segue into L.S.C. Ministries. Now tell me about that. What else?
L.S.C. Came out of, again, it came out of the book, it came out of everything that God has been doing over the years. And my husband's like, you're already doing it. You just have to organize it. So it was just, even in doing that, it was scary. Because it's like, oh my gosh, now you want me to do something else. Okay. So now, you know, this is my name attached to it. And, you know, not only my name attached to it, but, you know, God, this is you attached to this. So it's where we're promoting that worship is a lifestyle. You know, it's not just a Sunday morning thing. It's not just a, you know, when I see you, it's not just a, you know, you have to dress up in your fancy hat and you have to wear white all the time. And, you know, that's your thing.
Right.
But, you know, to promote that worship is a lifestyle, and that, you know, to draw people closer to God, to live a better life. The world that we're living in is is getting crazier by the day.
Mhm.
So, just to tell people there is hope. There is a way out. There is a life that you can live that is a good life, that's a God life. So it's housing everything that God is doing in one place. So I'm excited about that as well. So our thing is staying connected to God in order to stay connected to people.
Okay. So lastly, what are some of the specific things, you think are you planning for LSC?
I'm planning to do some seminars for women, not just women, but seminars for families, a couple of things for kids. I love to be that educator, love to do things in terms of giving back to the community, giving back to children, dealing with my 1-year-old, knowing how important it is to raise up a child and train up a child in a certain way. Just doing a lot of things with just other people. More books,
Right.
of course,
Mm-hmm.
dramas to come.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big fan of the arts.
Right.
So it's almost as if doing worship through the arts.
Right.
So just that art, a lot of artistic things coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Something different, not necessarily the day-to-day mundane ministry things that people may see, but just kind of like an out-of-the-box type thinking. I know everybody thinks their ministry is, oh, my ministry is out of the box. I'm not saying that it's not, but just doing it the way that God has asked me to do it.
Yep.
So it's basically fulfilling my assignment.
Okay. All right. Well, Regina, I just want to say the book is called Face Value. And it can be purchased on Amazon, correct? Amazon. And so, or anywhere, just Google it, you'll find it, Face Value. And it's you're not going to be sitting for weeks reading it. We'll have 70 pages of juice. Like, I read this in like an hour. I was like, love. But what's she about to do now?
Straight to the point.
So, Face Value. And, Regina, how can we find you on social media?
On social media, you can find me on Facebook at L.S.C. Ministries. You can also find me on Instagram at Ministries L.S.C. So the website is coming. We're working on that as well. So
yeah, and so that's L.S.C. Regina Saxby Crawford.
Yes.
Just to be clear. All right,
Yes.
thank you, friend. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I
Love you so much.